Joining us is one of my favorite lawyers and law professors, Hugh Hewitt, Fox News contributor and host of the Hugh Hewitt Show. Welcome, Professor. In Trump's first term, there was some turnover. My friends in the current cabinet tell me a lot of the stability this time around is because of Susie Wiles and her steady hand. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing exactly the same thing, Congressman. Merry Christmas and good evening to you as well. And I want to emphasize what you did. I've spoken to Susie Wiles exactly once in my life, and I've had one text exchange with her. I asked her for interviews on both occasions, once for the president, once for her. She turned me down. She's not my friend. I don't have anything to do with her. She got submarined. It was basically stab her in the back after she attempted to do something I think that was unique, bring in a left-winger and say, let me give you some access to how the White House works and how I do my job. You want to do a profile of me? And it was an absolute hatchet job. His response, Chris Whipple is his name, is I've got the tapes. I'm sure he has the tapes. The question is, did he write a piece in good faith about Susie Wiles? So I called up John Delaney, texted him actually, her former boss. She was chief of staff to the now president of Flagler College in Florida when he was running mayor of Jacksonville. I said, did this guy reach out to you? He said, absolutely not. And it would have been, he's been talked to by everyone who's profiled Susie Wiles. John Delaney's in almost every article. So I think Chris Whipple had an agenda, which was to send a long telegram to the TDS afflicted that confirmed their worldview. And he fumbled like an opportunity that any journalist would kill for. 11 long interviews with a sitting chief of staff, maybe 10 with her in office and one before. And I made a list of quotes. We don't have time to go through it. The guy has got serious TDS. And I'm sorry she picked the wrong journalist. It was a good idea to show how the president of the United States is not a warmonger, how he operates. And Chris Whipple botched it, and he botched it with the least generous of spirits towards the subject who extended him every graciousness.
Memo to self, say no to Whipple next time and say yes to Hugh Hewitt. All right, I want us to listen to the vice president, and then I'm going to ask you about it on the other side, okay?
All right.
I've never seen Susie Wiles say something to the president and then go and counteract him or subvert his will behind the scenes. And that's what you want in a staffer. Because as much as I love Susie, the American people didn't elect any staffer. They elected the president of the United States. But I've never seen her be disloyal to the president of the United States, and that makes her the best White House chief of staff that I think the president could ask for.
All right, Professor, as you always do, you anticipated my next question, and this is it. Some in the media complain about a lack of access. And then when that access is granted, this publication goes out of its way to even pick the most unflattering pictures. I have seen better mugshots than some of the pictures that they picked for people who cooperated with them. I mean, if you need exhibits in the trial on media bias, go look at the photos that they picked of the people that work in the Trump administration.
You're absolutely right. In fact, I had to look twice to make sure I was seeing what they did. And it's an unfortunate hatchet job at every level. Vanity Fair wants to sell magazines. I understand that they do that. I do not understand Chris Whipple throwing away that opportunity. I don't understand the photographer throwing away that opportunity. Once again, there's a hardcore, sort of deranged group of people in the United States who want to hate Donald Trump and who want confirmation bias. And Chris Whipple gives them a lot of confirmation bias so that even when you try and be nice and open up the door and say, come in and take a look, we're actually running a pretty tight ship here. The president is not a warmonger. That's a direct quote from the article. They produced this. Those pictures were laughable, but it's just a warning to every Republican. You will never, ever get a fair shake from the legacy media, even if you're nice to them. Even if you really try very hard, it will never, ever happen.
from Hugh Hewitt's lips to everyone's ears. I don't know how many different times we have to learn this lesson. They're not going to be fair to you, but I tell you what, I'm going to be fair to you. I drew your name in a Christmas raffle. I'm a fiscal conservative, so it's not going to be much, but I look forward to sending you your Christmas gift. You will be underwhelmed. Merry Christmas to my favorite law professor, Hugh Hewitt.
Thank you, Trey Gotti. Merry Christmas to you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.